That's right, guys. In this episode, I will be answering what is the best diet for you for fat loss. And by the end of the episode, we're going to discuss the biggest mistakes that people make when it comes to dieting, the myths that might be holding you back, the key principles for any successful fat loss diet, and then we're going to use the key principles to compare some of the most popular diets like the Mediterranean, Keto Diet, Pescatarian, Carnivore, Vegan, Vegetarian, and I'm also going to give you my personal recommendation for what is best and why it's best and how to implement it into your lifestyle. So stick around until the end, it will be packed with a lot of valuable tips. So welcome to the Limitless Body and Mind podcast and to the next episode. If you're new here, you can subscribe and you'll receive a lot of value every single week. You can check out my previous episodes. I just launched this podcast recently, but it's packed with value and it can massively help you lose fat. Also, the YouTube channel will be packed with additional videos, so make sure to subscribe there. Thanks for being my guest, and let's dive in. First, let's quickly answer the question, how does fat loss works? In theory, it's very simple. You have to be on a caloric deficit, and that can be achieved with any diet. But no diet will ever work if you're not on a caloric deficit. So we want to make this very, very clear. And how you achieve this deficit, that can depend on your preference, on your cultural way of eating, and your goals. I will give you a few myths that we want to just clarify right from the start so they don't confuse you. I have a few of them. The first one is that cutting out carbs is the only way to lose fat. And that might be a belief in you because you've tried it before and it worked, and maybe nothing else worked in your life. But don't be fooled, this is not a requirement, definitely. As I said, the calories matter. When you cut out carbs, you just cut out carbs. There's benefits to that and there's also negatives to that, and I will discuss them later, but it's a common myth, so don't fall for that. And if you're currently believing it, watch this video until the end. I will make things very clear for you. The second one is about juicing. You know, these very popular juices that will help you lose fat. They will detox you, they will clear everything from you. This is a horse bullshit. This is not just bullshit, it's very bad bullshit. Because there's no juice, no type of juice that you will ever drink that will help you lose fat if you're on a caloric surplus. In fact, if you replace all the food that you're eating and you replace it with liquids, with juices, that's going to actually destroy your gut biome, and it's going to mess you up so badly that you can't recover from that easily. So juicing, this is like a great supplement to a diet. It can be used in addition to a diet to nourish your body, but it's certainly not a fat loss hack, in no way, shape or form. Moving forward, next we have you need to eat clean 100% of the time. So if you think that you have to be a robot, no, you don't have to. You can eat all the shit that you want as long as you eat them in moderation. And I will give you a very simple model to follow later on in the video, so watch until the end. Next one is certain supplements can boost fat loss even in a caloric surplus. That's not true. There's no supplement that will help you burn fat even on a caloric surplus. There are supplements that will speed up your metabolism. There are supplements that will help you extract the fat, will help you metabolize it, but none of them will actually work if you're on a caloric surplus. And that makes them complete bullshit too, because all we need is to be on a caloric deficit. And regardless with supplements or without the supplements, you're going to lose the same amount of fat. For example, if you're on a 500 calorie deficit per day, you're going to be burning 500 calories out of your fat storage, regardless what supplements you're taking, right? You're not going to burn more calories just because you're taking some additional supplement if you're on a 500 calories deficit. That's going to be it. Be smart, guys. Just use your common sense. Nowadays, common sense is precious. So just have it, embrace it. It's a common sense, simple things. And the last one I will move into is there is a unique, perfect diet that fits everyone. So let's end the debate. This video is not about that. It's not about giving you the diet that will work for absolutely all of you. It's not going to work. That's why I'm going to compare all the popular diets. I will give you the key benefits for each one and what you need to be aware of, how to pick the right one for you, and I will also give you my personal recommendation for what I give to most of my clients. But I want to highlight that I also give them some flexibility. And if they say they want to go other way, I am happy with that too, because fat loss can be achieved with any diet. So let's dive into the key principles for any successful fat loss diet. They're very, very simple, and they apply to every successful fat loss diet. If the diet that you want to try right now, that you want to do, does not fit in some of these criteria, then probably it's not gonna work in the long term, right? It's not gonna stick. So let's dive into them. Number one is calorie awareness. You need to be aware of how much calories you're consuming, or at least approximately. And you need to make sure that daily you stay on a caloric deficit. You know, it's very, very obvious, but it's the one thing that I mentioned like 5 times so far, because it's the one thing that really matters. Next one we have is protein prioritization. Every successful diet is focused on a lot of protein as much as possible. Protein is super important for your bodily functions, for repair of all the muscle tissues and all other tissues in the body, and we can't produce it, we can't make it up from any other product. We have to consume it. There are 9 essential amino acids that are contained in the proteins that we eat, and we get them only through food. So you have to be eating a lot of protein. Also, protein is very satiating. Also, protein foods are very huge in volume but low in calories at the same time. So they're usually a very good choice for macronutrient if you want to keep yourself full and stay on a caloric deficit. The next principle, number 3, is nutrient dense foods and eliminating processed foods. So every good diet includes a lot of nutrient dense foods, regardless what they are, and less of the processed foods. Processed foods is something that you must stay away from and try to completely eliminate them in your life. There is no benefit into having any of these processed foods. They're made of emulsifiers that damage your gut lining, they damage your gut biome, and they mess up things really, really bad for you without you even realizing, and will change the way your body works. It will change your behavior, your mood. They're just horrible, and one of the main reasons why we have obesity epidemic at the moment. Not because of the meat or the carbs or whatever, it's the processed chemicals in the foods. Next we have flexibility and enjoyment. Super important for a long-term sustainability. If you want to stay fit and so lean for the rest of your life, you have to be able to enjoy your diet, which is kind of obvious. Even if you decide to struggle through it, the chances are you're gonna fail at some point. Like in this point, you have to kind of know yourself. You have to know what you're capable of achieving, what you're capable of doing, how much you're going to handle, the discomfort. Because I don't want to say a diet must be flexible and must be enjoyable, because I personally know people who are great athletes and have achieved a lot by just eating extremely boring food and sticking to something extremely boring, and they say this is not more important than the goals that I have in my life, and they sacrifice this part. So if that's you, I'm not gonna stop you, but hey, if that doesn't work, then maybe that's not for you, and it's for most people it's not. So I don't recommend it. There's other ways, there are easier ways to get the results done. You don't have to be super strict and eat the same foods every single day and end up to the point where like you hate the foods that you eat. It really doesn't have to be this way. So that's why I don't recommend it, and it's important for the diet to be flexible and enjoyable. And the last piece is satiety and fullness, like a main priority for each diet, because again, you have to be feeling full and satiated most of the time. If the diet doesn't keep you satiated, then you end up with high cravings, and you have much higher chance of just at some point overeating. And you will, because we're emotional decision makers. It's something I often say, because you guys have to accept and understand it. I know a lot of you with a big ego, you're gonna say, no, I'm not an emotional decision maker, I'm totally rational, I know exactly what I'm doing. And I'm telling you, you don't know. You're not rational, you're emotional, even when you're rational. If you want to see where I'm coming from, listen to the book, Never Split the Difference. It's a negotiating book, but it's going to break it down for you, and maybe will open your mind about this concept that you're an emotional decision maker. So if you end up with high cravings and that makes you feel depressed and you feel like shit and you're constantly thinking about food, your stomach is empty, you can power through this with rational decisions for some period of time and not make the wrong decision, but eventually you're going to end up making wrong decisions. And that's going to lead to a hell of a lot of negative patterns, which will throw you off your healthy diet, and it can lead you in a whole other direction. So that's why this is super important. Okay, let's move forward and compare now the most popular diets, and I will compare them against the key principles for successful fat loss diet, and you can see which one fits really best for you. And at the end, I will also give you my personal recommendation. If you're watching on YouTube, I will put the list next to me so you can watch it all the time and compare yourself and use it maybe to compare other types of diets. Okay, whatever you want to do. So I hope this is very helpful to you. I try to make it as simple as it can be. First, we're going to cover the Omnivore, the Mediterranean, and all sorts of well-balanced diets. So these diets include a variety of food groups: protein, carbs, fats, vegetables, and fruits. And the Mediterranean diet emphasizes healthy fats like olive oils and nuts, while a well-balanced diet focuses on moderation and variety, and it can include anything. So they're very identical in a way. In the way they are, it's just which part of the world the protein comes from or the carbohydrate come from. These diets are great. These are some of my favorites. I really love them. All of these well-balanced diets, I love them. If we compare them, so calorie awareness, you need to be aware of how much calories you're consuming. That's easily achievable with these diets. Protein prioritization, it's easily achievable because you're allowed to eat pretty much almost anything, any protein under the sun. So you can easily add it to your food. Nutrient-dense foods, also very easily achievable. All you have to do is just eat whole foods, and there's huge variety. Flexibility and enjoyment, definitely on the highest with that, because you can pretty much cook anything, enjoy yourself. And satiety and fullness, also very, very high, because you can structure the plate the way I will teach you later. That will help you stay satiated and full most of the time. So these are very, very good choice. If you want to burn fat, I'll teach you later how to do it with these diets. They're awesome. Next, we move to Carnivore Diet. Focuses exclusively on animal products like meat, fish, eggs, and dairy, while excluding plant-based foods. That, in theory, can lead you to stay in ketosis, where the confusion comes for a lot of you guys, that you have to, it's going to take you to the place where you burn a lot of fats. Okay, yes, that's true. It's gonna take you to the place where most of your calories, most of your energy comes from the fat storage. But it's gonna come down to the calories at the end again. If you are consuming more calories than what you're burning, you're gonna keep putting more on in the fat storage than what you're actually consuming. And you're gonna keep getting fat. In fact, it's very easy to get fat with that kind of diet if you overeat, because the fat doesn't take much for processing, for metabolization, and just goes to the storage very easily. So yeah, when it comes to the principles, calorie awareness is a big one. You have to be, again, very aware of how much calories you're consuming, and the only way you're going to burn calories and drop fat with the carnivore diet is if you stay on a caloric deficit again. Protein, the next point, is very high, so that's very good for the carnivore diet. Nutrient-dense foods, also very high. Most animal products are super high in nutrients, much higher than most plants, which a lot of you don't know, but actually meats and eggs, they're well packed, more than most of the vegetables that you're eating. So they're great. Flexibility and enjoyment, that's a difficult one. So you have to eat only animal products. If you're somebody who's been eating other products a lot in your life, and for example, you like chocolates and cakes and or other vegetables, and you want to sacrifice them right away, that's probably not going to stick for you in the long run. If you can make the sacrifice for a month or 3 months, maybe that can be a great short-term diet, which is going to help your body heal and extract some of the benefits from the carnivore diet, on which a lot of people claim it has, but they're not well proven in the science world. But it can be actually very healthy maybe. So it's a good choice. I personally like the carnivore diet, but I don't think it's sustainable, and I don't use it with my clients for that very reason, because it doesn't fit forever, and it's very expensive. It's not for everybody. And then we move to satiety and fullness. Easily can be achieved with the carnivore diet, because you can eat mostly protein. Protein keeps you the fullest of all macronutrients. Then we move forward to the keto diet. Keto is almost the same, but you can have plant sources of fat and protein. It's pretty much the same. Everything that we spoke about in the key principles for the carnivore diet applies for the keto diet. You have to be calorie aware. It can be very high protein, which is nice. Nutrition dense easily. Is it flexible and enjoyable? Not so much, right? And then satiety and fullness, yes, it can probably keep you very satiated and full most of the time. Next, we move to the vegetarian and vegan diets. So vegetarian diet, includes only vegetables and eggs and dairy products, where vegan diets doesn't have the eggs and dairy products and it's only vegetables. So these are the diets that I don't like the most out of all of the diets. And I used to be a fan. I want to make it clear. I actually did a test. I was a vegetarian for 1 year, and there was some significant benefits at the beginning of my vegetarian journey. For example, first time I ran 24 miles jog, which prior to that I maximum have done like 5 miles, maybe 10 miles once in my life. I never thought I can do 24 miles. The second day after I switched on vegetarian diet, I was so energetic that I went for a very, very long run and I did 24 miles. So there's some benefits to the vegetarian diet, but in the long run, if you just stay with vegetarian diet, I think these benefits definitely fade away and it's not so sustainable, and I don't see a big reason for somebody to be on a vegetarian diet anymore. I really don't like it anymore. So let's dive into this, exploring the key principles. For calorie awareness, again, you have to be tracking your calories and understand how much you're eating always. Protein prioritization, that's one of the biggest problems with the vegetarian and vegan diets. So vegetarian is better because you can eat a lot of eggs, egg whites, and you can add up a lot of protein from there. But for you to have the minimum amount protein required, you really need to eat like a lot of these eggs, and you have to have your protein shakes. And the one options that are very popular right now, the processed meats, that plant-based burgers and plant-based sausages, these are highly processed foods, guys. Don't think that they're healthy. They're sold as healthy. They're not. God knows how they process them, and most of them are full of shit. So they're not great. And if you have to follow the next principle of nutrient-dense foods, then you have to exclude these because they are in the high processed category. So you're left with a lot of beans and some eggs and some dairy products. You can manage for some time, but I find it very boring. Although there are people who love this. I have a friend who is a very famous athlete who is vegan. He's not even vegetarian. He's like not even eating eggs or dairy products. Only beans and chickpeas every day. If you want to eat beans and chickpeas for the rest of your life every single day, go for it. I don't think that's a bad diet if you can stick to it. But to me, that's absolutely horrible. I just can't stand beans more than two, 3 times a week. Like that's gonna be way too much for me. So not for everybody. So it can be nutrition dense if you eat the right things. In protein, it's a really tough one. Is it flexible and enjoyable? Not so much. Can it keep you satiated and full? Yeah, very high on that score. So vegetables are usually very low in calories and very huge in volumes. And if you want to get the right amount of proteins and carbohydrates and calories in your diet from vegetarian and just vegan, you will be eating like huge portions. And that's something good about it. It can keep you very satiated. In the short term, it can even help you lose fat because you'll be just eating low calories, but your protein will be low. So protein won't be healthy low. It's probably going to be unhealthy. Even if it's on the healthy side, you're not going to have enough protein to build muscle, which is very important for fat loss. You're going to probably be losing your muscle in the diet phase. So yeah, these diets are not great. All right, after comparing all the diets against the key principles, I hope you're now getting the picture and understanding what they are and which one probably fits best for you. I'll give you my personal recommendation, which I use for all my clients, and that is a simple, well-balanced diet. The well-balanced diet is something that's very easily achievable with an image that I will just post an image on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube, just imagine a plate, a rounded plate, divided into 3 parts, 1/2 and 2/4. 1/4 of the plate is full of protein, another quarter of the plate is full of carbohydrates, and the other half of the plate is full of vegetables. If you roughly get that balance of macronutrients in foods, in your meals, you're gonna have a very well balanced diet. And if you just follow the other principles, like you eat the whole foods, you eliminate the processed foods, you monitor your calories, or at least have some structure ensuring that you're on a caloric deficit, then this is a very well sustainable diet because you can cook in any possible way. You can eat in restaurants, you can eat with your family, you don't have to say no to absolutely any foods, you can eat any desserts, as long as you're managing your macronutrients better. And if you want to take it to the next step, what we do is we track calories, because tracking calories actually educates you on what the foods that you're eating are made of, how much protein contains in the chicken, in the beans, how much carbohydrates are in the other foods that you're eating, and the fats. So when you track calories, you can then be even more flexible in the way you structure your plate. You can decide to have some very heavy protein meal for lunch and then very heavy carbohydrate meal for dinner and achieve that balance. And the ratio that we follow the most is about 30% of the calories to be coming from protein, 45% of the calories to be coming from carbohydrates, and 25% calories coming from fats. It's very easily achievable if you track your calories. In a well-balanced diet, it fits actually the description of a pescatarian diet, of omnivore diet, and Mediterranean diet. So all these three, they can fit in right away. The carnivore and the keto diet, they can't really fit in. With them, it's a little bit different, and they're not for everybody again because of the sacrifices I mentioned. And the vegan and vegetarian, with the vegetarian, you can achieve that. With vegan, it's almost impossible to get these ratios right. Can you be healthy? Maybe yes, maybe no. I think yes, depending on the person. Can you build a lot of muscle? Very hard, with lots of supplements in terms of protein powders. So a well-balanced diet is your choice, guys. It's the thing that you have to go for. You don't need to look for any magic tools. And if your diet and your efforts with your well-balanced diet don't work right now, it's because of your approach, because you're making some of the common mistakes. And now, to finish off the video, I will give you the most common mistakes that people are doing, and if you're doing some of them, maybe that's why your diet is not working, and you just need to make a few simple tweaks and it's gonna start working, guaranteed. So let's dive into the biggest mistakes people make. Number one is not tracking your progress. Sounds obvious, but most of you are not tracking your progress, and I know that, because it's that daunting task that you have to do, but that task is gonna make sure you're getting somewhere. There is a very simple saying, which is, if what's measured gets managed, and if you don't measure, you're never gonna manage it. It's very simple. And if you wanna, for example, develop your business, you'll be tracking your numbers. If you wanna change your body, you have to track your numbers and take yourself as a project. You need to be tracking your weight, and you need to make sure your weight is dropping, or at least your fat is changing. You know, the fat ratio is changing. Maybe you're building muscle at the same time. For that, you probably want to take progress photos, and you have to do this consistently, like every week. Also, when you're eating, you need to somehow track the amount of food that you put in your plate. It could be by the size. You can use your palm size. You can use the plate that you have and arrange it the way I described earlier. You can track with apps like MyFitnessPal and track your calories. You can track in many different ways, but you need to have a system that you're tracking everything and ensuring that you're getting results. And for example, at the end of the week, if you are not losing weight and you've done everything in a specific way, then you can clearly say, okay, maybe I need to increase my activity a little bit more, or maybe I can drop a little bit more of that food. And you will see that when you do these little adjustments week over week, you will start losing fat very easily, but you have to track. So that was mistake number one. Then we move to the second mistake, focusing on short-term time frames. So anything below 2 months, I consider a very short term. If you want to just get fit for summer and it's already like July, forget about it. You have to focus on something like 6 months or 1 year and beyond. You have to focus on these long terms, and during this period, your attention should be on the process, on how much you're eating, how well you're balancing your macros, and what is your discipline around training. Are you disciplined with your steps, with your walking, with the working out? Are you disciplined with the way you eat, with the processed foods, with the chocolates, with the snacks? Like all these things, that's where you need to be focused on, and allow like 6 months and 1 year to see some significant results. Anything below that, this is just you playing games there. You want to drop some fat, and you'll be going in these circles. At the end of these 2 months, you just quit. If you're somebody who wants to really change achieve something significant, then change your mindset from short term to very long term, and always stay focused on the long term and get used to that idea. This is not some short term fix. This is a lifestyle. After the 2 years on a program, you're gonna continue doing that for the rest of your life. So take it easy, don't rush it, step by step for the long run, and that's how the changes happen. The next big mistake is weekend overeating. So you might be thinking that, like, you've been on a diet for 5 days, you've done it well, and then you can allow yourself to have a couple of beers at the end of the week. That couple of beers at the end of the week will lead to also calorie consumption, additional food eaten. It's going to affect your sleep, and then getting back on track fully, it's going to take you 2-3 days, because then you're going to wake up groggy, you're not going to be in the best mood, you're probably going to eat some wrong foods on the next day, and then you'll be like, okay, the day after, I'm going to get better. And usually there is a process after every night out or every day of not being properly consistent. There is a period of time for you to fix yourself. On top of that, during this period where you weren't consistent, you maybe overate so much that you made up for all the calorie deficit that you had in the previous 5 days. And this is super common, and that's why I'm saying it here, because most people do it. A lot of my clients have done it, and until we stop with these night outs on Fridays and Saturdays, drinks with colleagues and friends, until we stop that, nothing happens. They're trained, they do everything right, they do 10,000 steps every day, they track their calories, but on Saturday and Sunday, they just don't track the calories. And these people always stagnate, never get somewhere. So don't ignore these simple things. Next, we move to hoping diet alone will do it. It's not gonna do it. I think I kind of alluded to that. You have to be doing still your steps. You have to be doing everything else on the side, maintaining your metabolism high, developing your muscles. So diet alone will get you somewhere, but just diet is probably going to slow down your metabolism so much, then you have to reduce the calories even more and more and more and more, until it becomes unhealthy, unsustainable. You will lose your muscles through atrophy, and you're going to turn into not a nice looking person for sure, and you will be very far from your goals. So don't ignore the other things that you have to be doing. And to help you with that, with the other things, I actually have another video. If you click here, I will put another video on how to work out for fat loss, all the movement that you have to do, all the exercises that you have to do, everything explained step by step in the same way that I explained it here, so you can pick the right workout for you, the place you're going to be training, how to structure it, and that will apply for a busy schedule, for not so busy schedule, for your preference, for mobility, personal abilities. So go have a look at this video. It's definitely very informative if you want to take things to the next level. And that's about it today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe to the podcast to support my work and to stay in touch with the future releases, which will be also very helpful if you like this one. Thank you for being my guest, and I will see you next time.